Have you ever set out to reach a specific point while flying? And even though the weather was getting worse, something inside you kept saying, "Just a little more. I'm almost there." Well, if this sounds familiar, you may have been a victim of a well-known cognitive bias called plan continuation bias, also known as goal fixation or mission pressure. This bias is as common as it is dangerous. Basically, it happens when you are so focused on achieving a goal, whether it's landing in a specific place, doing a cross-country flight, winning a competition, or simply not looking bad in front of your friends, that you decide to ignore clear warning signs. This also happens to professional pilots, both tandem pilots and instructors. For example, a tandem pilot may have a waiting list or a group of 4 passengers, and by the second or third passenger, the weather changes. The pressure to complete the mission will somehow push them to do that 4th passenger, to complete the mission, to fly everyone, even though conditions are already dangerous. The same thing can happen to an instructor. Usually we agree with a student to do a certain number of flights per class. Let's imagine 3. The first flight goes well, the second one is a bit more challenging, and by the third flight conditions are already dangerous. This bias could make us blind to the warnings of deteriorating weather and lead us to put our student in adverse conditions. In short, your mind enters a kind of tunnel. You don't see other options. You don't evaluate, you just keep going because you're already committed to the idea. It's like you become obsessed with the destination and forget about the path. This doesn't only happen in paragliding. Obviously, in general aviation, many accidents have happened because pilots tried to reach their destination despite storms, low visibility, or mechanical problems. The same thing happens in the mountains. Climbers keep ascending even though they're exhausted, or the weather changes brutally and suddenly. In all these cases, the goal eclipsed logic. Back to paragliding. Imagine you're flying in your usual flying area, and your regular official landing zone is a few kilometers away. But you don't notice that the wind has picked up too much. Typically in those conditions, you could look for an alternate landing, something closer to where you are, but you don't. You become obsessed with landing in your usual spot, where maybe your car is, or your friends are waiting. The wind increases even more. You fall short and don't make it. You don't reach the official landing zone, and you also couldn't choose an alternate landing because your mind focused, concentrated, and obsessed only on the mission, which was landing where you always do. Well, if you're an experienced pilot, I'm sure this has happened to you. This mission completion bias or commitment to the original plan has probably played a bad trick on you. Now then, how can we eliminate or fight this bias? How can we fly with a cool head when this cognitive pattern pushes us to complete the goal regardless of the conditions? Here are some concrete, practical strategies. First, use clearly defined points of no return before the flight, before takeoff. Set locations or key moments where you will review your decision. For example, if I'm not at a certain altitude, I look for alternate landings. If thermals don't appear before reaching the valley, I don't cross it. This forces you to exit emotional mode and return to analysis. And most importantly, you decide this yourself while you're still thinking clearly on the ground or in a safe phase of the flight. Second, talk to yourself in the third person. It sounds strange, but it works. When you're doubting, imagine you're explaining it to another pilot. What would I tell that pilot if they said they're going to continue despite strong wind and low cloud base? Or what would I tell an instructor if I see them wanting to take a student up in very strong conditions? The answer is usually clear. Friend, turn back and look for a landing. Or colleague, don't take your student because they could have an accident. Third, always have a realistic plan B and visualize it positively. Don't think of an alternate landing as a failure. Think of it as a different story, not a less valuable one. Also, if you're a tandem pilot, that passenger who didn't fly has the chance to do it another time. To repeat the trip, the journey to the flying site, and enjoy another day with friends. Don't see it as a failure, neither for you nor for the client. The same goes for a student. A student who already flew and is missing just 1 or 2 flights already takes away an experience and also learns how to apply safety judgment. Fourth, eliminate social pressure and ego from flying. Paragliding has a strong ego culture, and it's something we all must fight. This is difficult. Sometimes the mission completion bias doesn't come only from personal desire, but from what others expect of you. I don't want to look bad in front of my peers. If I land first, everyone will follow. I don't want to be the only one who doesn't make it. But remember, taking unnecessary risks is not justified by your friends thinking well of you, or by how many followers you might gain on Instagram. The thermal doesn't care if you won the cross-country league last year. Fifth, do a mental debrief at the end of every flight. A mental duty. It's like an explanation you give to yourself, drawing conclusions about what you did well and what you did wrong. Ask yourself, at what moment did I keep flying out of commitment instead of analysis? Did I ignore warning signs because I was too close to the goal? Would I change something if I could repeat this flight today with a cooler head? These reflections help you identify dangers in the future and avoid them. Plan continuation bias, or mission completion bias, can affect all of us, from beginners to champions. The difference lies in who recognizes it and acts in time. Because remember, in paragliding, arriving is not the most important thing. Landing safely is. And if we can fly another day, even better. Remember to like this video if you enjoyed it and subscribe to my channel if you want to receive more content like this. Write in the comments, have you ever fallen into this mental bias, and how did you solve it? See you in the next video.